Cars now cost more than some houses used to, and no one saw it coming this fast. Across America, prices for basic rides are hitting jaw-dropping levels, and it's not just luxury vehicles feeling the heat. So what's really going on behind the scenes that's turning everyday cars into wallet busters? From hidden dealership markups to major factory slowdowns, the truth is finally coming out, and it's way messier than expected.
And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States.
In a move that shocked many people, a new rule has been announced. All cars not made in the United States will now have a 25% tariff. That means every car, truck, or even car part coming from another country will now be taxed. This change has made things very complicated for the car market. For 30 years, the US has free trade across North America, and everything was working smoothly. But now, just one order has flipped everything upside down. Experts in the car business are saying this could send the entire auto industry into a serious problem, even a recession. A big reason why this is so serious is because no one saw it coming. Automakers, suppliers, and even buyers had no time to prepare. And now, people are scared of what this could mean for car prices, jobs, and even the future of driving in America.
We'll effectively be charging a 25% tariff, but if you build your car in the United States, there is no tariff. And what that means is a lot of foreign car companies, a lot of companies are going to be in great shape because they've already built their plant, but their plants are underutilized, so they'll be able to expand them inexpensively and quickly.
This isn't just some small change, it's a massive shift. Car prices in the US are already very high, but now they're getting even worse. Some cars might even be taken off the market completely. Why? Because the cost of making or bringing in these cars has suddenly gone up a lot. Think about it. If a car is made outside the US or uses parts from another country, it'll cost way more to sell in America. That means companies might stop selling those cars, or they'll raise the prices to a point where many people simply can't afford them anymore. Experts believe this could cause car sales to drop by more than 3 million units. That's a huge number. And to fix this, companies will have to buy new plants, hire new people, and find American suppliers. But that takes time, many years in fact. The US doesn't even have the ability right now to make cheap cars on its own. Nearly half of all cars sold in the US come from other countries like Canada, Mexico, Korea, Germany, or Japan. So this tariff hits almost everybody. Not all car makers are hit equally. Ford and Stellantis, the company that owns brands like Jeep and Dodge, make about 75 to 80% of their US cars inside the country. General Motors, on the other hand, makes less than half in the US. That means GM could be hit really hard. And even for companies that make cars in the US, almost all of them still use parts from other countries like engines, electronics, even rubber or plastic. So even American-made cars are going to get more expensive. Canada has things like metals and energy, and Mexico provides low-cost labors and factories. Cutting these countries out of the supply chain means everything becomes slower, harder, and much more expensive. Now comes the kicker for us regular folks. Even before the tariffs, buying a car was hard. Prices were already near record highs, and now people who already own a car are struggling just to pay their monthly loan. As of January 2025, more than 6.6% of low credit buyers were at least 2 months behind on their car payments. That's the worst it's ever been. Experts say the average car price will go up by 15% to 20% if it's made or partly made outside of the US. That means an increase of around $6,000 for many cars. That change will hit over half of the top 50 best-selling cars in America, and mostly the affordable ones under $40,000. Even cars that are mostly US made might still rise in price by 5%. In February, the average price paid for a new car was just under $50,000. After the tariff, that number will climb well past $50,000. This is where things start to look really worrying. Many of the affordable new cars in the US are made in countries like Mexico or South Korea, and now they might completely disappear from the market. This includes well-liked models such as the Chevrolet Trax, Chevrolet Trailblazer, Nissan Sentra, Nissan Kicks, Buick Encore GX, Ford Bronco Sport, and Ford Maverick. These cars are popular because they give good value for the money, offering decent features at lower prices. But with the new 25% tariff, keeping these models on sale in the US could become way too expensive. Take the Chevrolet Trax for example. It's made in Korea and is one of General Motors' cheapest cars. If 25% is added to its price, it could jump from $25,000 to over $31,000. That's a huge increase, and GM may be forced to decide if it's even worth continuing to sell the Trax in the US at all. If companies stop selling these affordable cars, people will turn to the used car market. And that will bring up another problem. More people fighting for fewer used cars will make used cars prices go up too. Something like this already happened during the COVID pandemic. When factories shut down and parts were hard to find, the price of used cars jumped. Even now, used cars cost way more than they did in 2019. And if there are fewer new cars, that means fewer trade-ins and fewer used cars down the line. It creates a shortage that just keeps getting worse. More people will be stuck keeping their old cars for longer or buying cars that are just too expensive. It's not just the cheaper cars that are affected. Even some of the most popular models in the US are getting hit hard by the new tariffs. Well-known vehicles like the Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Honda HR-V, Chevy Equinox, and Subaru Forester are all facing price increases. These cars are loved across the country for being reliable, affordable, and practical. Each of these models sells more than 100,000 units every year, showing just how much people depend on them. But now, because of the added costs, the prices are expected to go up, and they might become even harder to find. Even longtime buyers who stick with the same brand might not be able to get the car they've always trusted. Some believe this tariff could push companies to build more cars in the US, and maybe someday it will, but building a car factory takes a long time and a lot of money. Setting up a single car plant can take 2 to 3 years and cost over $2 billion. Even changing a factory setup called retooling can cost $500 million and take months. And factories aren't like toys. You can't flip a switch and start making cars overnight. Even if a company wants to make a new model in the US, it needs special tools, skilled workers, and space. And policies can change every 4 years with new elections. That makes companies nervous. Why invest billions now if the government might undo the rule? This 25% tariff on imported cars and parts is not just a tiny rule change, it's something that could change the future of cars in America. Car prices were already too high for many. Now, they're climbing even more. People who used to afford a $25,000 car might have no option but to buy a used one, and used cars will get more expensive too. People may stop buying altogether. Now comes the kicker for us regular folks. Even before the tariffs, buying a car was hard. Prices were already near record highs. And now, people who already own a car are struggling just to pay their monthly loan. As of January 2025, more than 6.6% of low credit buyers were at least 2 months behind on their car payments. That's the worst it's ever been. Experts say the average car price will go up by 15% to 20% if it's made or partly made outside of the US. That means an increase of around $6,000 for many cars. That change will hit over half of the top 50 best-selling cars in America, and mostly the affordable ones under $40,000. Even cars that are mostly US made might still rise in price by 5%, and that could hurt the whole car industry. Companies will have to decide whether to eat the costs or stop selling their cheaper cars. And even if they want to build cars in the US, it'll take years before those cars hit the roads. This might be the beginning of a shift in how Americans buy cars, what kind of cars they can drive, and how much they pay for them. One thing is clear: nobody is ready for this. With so much uncertainty, rising prices, and confusion, it's hard to tell what will happen next. But one thing is definitely for sure: the car world in America has entered a whole new chapter. Thanks for watching. If that blew your mind, the next one's about to flip the whole story. Hit like, tap subscribe, and ring the bell so nothing wild slips past you. Catch you in the next video. It's gonna be even wilder.